Hello and happy Thursday, all of you No Payne fans. We're sitting here today with Winston. He is the founder, the CEO of Elite Construction, Calgary's own Elite Construction. Winston, how are you doing?
Pretty good.
Yeah, sweet.
Pretty good for Thursday. It's been a little bit of a rough week, but for the most part, can't complain.
Yeah, well, you had a smile on your face when I answered the door, so that's a good sign.
Yes,
yeah, the weather's been a little rough, but I mean, other than that, life's trucking on, I think, as good as it can be, right?
Absolutely.
Right on. I'm happy that you're here. This is the 24th episode, as I said, and we went through a pretty dry spell, I suppose, when COVID hit, but now that everything's cleared up and we're having people become more involved in the podcast, we're certainly starting to gain traction again. And having these larger companies start to reach out and become a part of it, it's certainly a great thing. We're happy to have you here.
Right on, and we're happy to be a part, and thank you for inviting us on here. It's first time for us, so
yeah, cool. Well, there's a first time for everything, right?
everything.
Yeah. Winston was cool enough to bring some Elite merch with him. Thought I'd represent the Elite Construction shirt this time around. I'm wearing the same old dirty blue shirt every time, but I mean, change is nice. It's nice. It's a fresh shirt. It's actually pretty sweet. So I think moving into the interview here, if you want to call it that, first question would be, what got you interested in the construction industry? I mean, I'm assuming you had a bit of a taste of it in the early years and decided to expand on that?
It was essentially by default. Started out in high school, grade 10 all the way to grade 12. If I wasn't in class, I was in the shop, and more often I was in the shop skipping class anyway. So
yeah, okay.
Proceeding into construction industry was basically just a shoe-in for me. So started out there and got into framing right out of high school. Framed for a couple of pretty particular Dutch guys. Very, very particular with how they do their things. So learned right out to the gate on how to properly frame a custom home. From there, went out on my own. After about 2.5 years of working for them, I figured, hey, I can do this myself and kind of improve on that. And started Elite Construction from there in about 2007. And progressively have changed throughout the course of our career. Mainly started with framing and building custom homes. As soon as the recession hit, mid 2007, end of 2008, we had to transition into something just to stay afloat. So ended up doing more of a renovation type thing, decks, fences, small jobs, just to
I see.
keep
I
going.
noticed on your website you're doing interior and exterior.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a response to the great crash of 2008. We'll say.
Yeah, exactly. It was more. It was just trying to survive at that point. So we went and diversified and thrived through most of it. So nice thing about it is that if something slows down in one aspect of the industry, whether it be like a seasonal thing like decks and fences and that sort of stuff, we can transition into interior work. But mainly we specialize in more of the complicated renovations, addition projects, and
I see
that sort of thing.
Yeah, right on. Well, from what I gathered just from going through your website, you seem to have been able to cater to any specific need, really. I saw new additions, I saw a lot of interior renovations, and everything in between. So I guess when things got a little dicey around 2007-8, as you said, it gave you a lot of opportunities to grow in ways that you may not have grown initially. But in hindsight now, you've just, I guess, covered so many more areas. I guess gives you an opportunity to stay busy when things are slower in some areas, but also provide a more extensive services, I suppose.
Exactly. And I mean, with that diversity, I mean, there is a lot of information that you got to absorb. And we try to take in as much knowledge as we can and pass it on to our clients and consumers and whatnot. But I think the biggest thing for us is our trade base. Like you guys, if I have a question or if I'm not confident in something that I'm capable of handling ourselves in-house, pick up the phone and call the guys that we've been dealing with for the last decade and a half. They're the experts on it. So
Right. So there are some smaller jobs or certain things that you would subcontract out.
Absolutely.
Right, of course.
I wouldn't get up and do a whole re-roof
No, I understand.
anything like that, but
it's seldom to find. I wouldn't believe that there'd be any company that could cater to every single requirement or need. Because if somebody approached No Payne Roofing or to say build an addition to the backside of their house, that would be, a totally different ball game. So.
Oh, exactly. It's like getting a landscaping company to come and do a basement development for you, or renovate your kitchen, that sort of thing. So,
yeah. For those of you who might be wondering about this white tail wagging around here, Winston, we've got the studio dog, Mila, who tends to get a little impatient when nobody's around her. So we thought bringing her in and letting her interact, I suppose, and it helps to keep her calm being around people. She likes to bark, but hey, this is Mila. Mila, say hi to the people. No? Yeah, okay. Well, hey, stay calm. Give her a treat. There, that was a good way to help it. Well, right on, Winston. Yeah, I also, back in high school, went through, wood shop and metalworking and all that kind of stuff, and didn't really ignite that fire when it came to, I guess, long-term goals for me. But obviously, for some, it was a huge inspiration to get to work with those kind of things back in the day.
For sure. And I immersed myself in the whole woodworking construction thing, just to kind of distract myself from what else was going on in my life at that time. So it was more or less a little bit of a crutch per se, but we did take it to the next level, and have run with it ever since. It's very passionate about the industry, really like what we do. Some days not so much, but majority of the days it's good times. So
yeah, right on. So could you remember the first job that you had contracted, the first contract that was offered to you as Elite?
That's reaching back a ways.
Yeah, 2007.
We're getting into 15 years of this. One that comes to mind would be a job in Okotoks Air Ranch, doing a little basement conversion for a colleague. Working out of the back of a pickup truck, check to check, that sort of thing.
All right.
Renting half the tools that we needed to do the job, couldn't afford the air nailers and the compressors and whatnot. So it was piece by piece, right? And now it's like, oh, if we need something, it's just like, yeah, let's go get it right now. If it's going to benefit us, if it's going to shave some time off, let's go get it. Because, I mean, I'm not going to say that tools make the man, but they definitely help.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, you're not alone in that approach in the early stages, obviously, because to acquire those kind of tools, I mean, it takes time, obviously, and pretty pricey equipment. So, I mean, having the opportunity to rent whatever equipment is necessary in order to get the job done, it's a blessing for sure to be able to, to have this equipment available to you is great. I wasn't around with No Payne in the early stages. I came on in around 2016, I think. But I think it's safe to assume that No Payne maybe had a taste of that style starting out, as most contractors probably did, right?
Yeah, totally.
Unless you got a big inheritance or something from somebody and could just establish yourself instantaneously, but that's not as often. Yeah,
I mean, the equipment that we have now, I mean, it came to light a couple of years ago. We had our main cargo trailer disappear from a job site overnight. Didn't really have a good catalog of what was in there. We didn't account for everything, material-wise and tool-wise alike. But at the end of the day, once everything was sorted out, realized that we had in excess of about 40 grand of equipment that just vanished into thin air. So for somebody to start out new, acquiring all of that is a big ticket item. Right, for sure. Yeah. So, and it's, when something like that happens, it's sad because you have equipment that you've had for the last dozen years that maybe doesn't exist anymore, and then just thin air gone. So
yeah, I mean, the toll that it could take on the company financially is obvious, but personally as well. I mean, knowing you put in all that work and gathered all that equipment, paid for it, that's a real kick in the ass for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, starting out wise, you got to start somewhere. You can't just jump in. So I mean, if you're gonna go and get to it, you might as well start somewhere and build your arsenal as you go.
Right. Well, I wonder how much complacency might fall into that. Not to sound accusatory, just even with myself playing live music and things. Sometimes, like I've lost equipment and I've had equipment stolen from me, and I
Mhm.
feel like I became complacent at times. Like, oh, I put my stuff here, it's fine. I'm out talking to people, and I come back and it's gone because you just weren't paying enough attention.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's really easy for someone to just swoop in when no one's paying attention. To not to accuse you of being complacent, but I guess it's natural to just become a little less worried about that kind of thing when you get used to the work that you're doing.
For sure. And you end up getting to a point where you're thinking like, like it happens to everybody else. It's not going to happen to me. And then it comes to the point where you're like, wow, that just happened.
Yeah.
And I mean, rolling up to that job site that one day, it was, where's the trailer? Call impound, see if somebody towed it or something like that. But no, it disappeared. So then you turn around and you look and you're like, okay, well, now we have a GPS on the trailer. We've got multiple padlocks. We've got interior door bolts, like whole 9 yards. And
Yeah, worthwhile.
Yeah.
No doubt about it.
now that you find it out the hard way.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a learning curve. Obviously, it's a wake-up call of sorts. Fairly certain no Payne has lost some equipment over the years. I can't recall any major pieces, but...
We had a van stolen.
Oh, the van. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
I remember
Yeah,
hearing
that
about
was
that.
actually fairly recent. I'm surprised. Well, it wasn't the van I was driving that
No.
got stolen. That's why I wasn't able to recall it as quickly. But yeah, one of our other contractors, woke up one morning and van wasn't parked in his driveway. And I mean, I don't know if can't really call him complacent when you get home from work and park your van outside of the house, but people see an opportunity and they'll take it, right? So
Yeah, and it honestly, it depends on the economy, like areas where you're working, that sort of thing too. And for us, it was just stupid dumb luck that just disappeared. Honestly,
Yeah,
it was a fairly
unfortunately.
what we thought was a safe neighborhood turned out not to be a safe neighborhood. So
We've gone as far as having to chain up our compressors and things like that because we're usually leaving a lot of our equipment on site during a re-roof, and if we have enough of a, well, it's hard to say what exactly, but if something we could chain things to, it's not too difficult to grab a chain and a lock and at least chain up a compressor and things like that, because those compressors can go upwards of $1,800, and doing whatever you can to safeguard the equipment that you purchased and safeguarding the equipment in order to provide for yourself. I mean, on the job, it's super important.
yeah, and just that extra little step too. I mean, it's if they want it, they're going to take it, but at least you can make it hard for them to take it.
Yep, that's true. I mean, take it from us, I guess. I mean, we've lost some things. I mean, don't become complacent. Grab a chain, lock things up, padlocks, get a nice secured trailer. I think we'd eventually reach out to that trailer field someday, but not quite there. We got like the big, like our vans are like a Econoline 2500.
Yep.
So a lot of space inside the vehicle for that equipment. So whether or not a trailer is exactly necessary yet is unsure. But
one thing that I realized throughout this whole process of this trailer being stolen and then recovering it and that sort of thing, the more your company logo is splattered all over that thing, the harder it is for them to hang on to it for a long period of time, and the easier it is to find. Unfortunately, when we got the trailer back, it was full of about 5 or 6 different tradespeople's tools. We contacted some of them. We were able to find some evidence of company names or phone numbers on them and whatnot. And turns out one of the guys that we returned some equipment to, his trailer also got stolen. But he found it within a day because they abandoned it on the side of a rural road due to the fact that his company logo was smeared all over the side of it.
yeah, it'd be pretty hard to hide.
So when we got our new one, we took it to the graphic shop and said, the biggest Elite Construction logo you can fit on the side of this thing.
Yeah,
Do it.
yeah, that's a good idea. I know Mike did the same thing or similar thing with the vans that we got. I can't remember exactly where the van was found, but I do know that it was chopped a little bit. We had this large ladder rack on top of the van that we actually found on Kijiji, I believe, for sale, or Facebook Marketplace. So we located the ladder rack. As for the van itself, I don't remember. Carly, do you remember where that van came from?
No idea.
Not exactly? No. Well, long story short, we were able to find it, thankfully. And, since then, considering it's not a trailer, it's a drivable trailer, we'll say, getting like, lock bars on the steering wheel, things like that.
Yeah.
Really just take every necessary precaution to prevent theft.
Yeah, you have to. It's a bit of a detriment to a business. We were down for about a week and a half before we were able to get back up and running again, and borrowing tools from colleagues and going and, maxing out the credit card to try to get this job done and completed so we could keep on replenishing what we had previously lost. So,
well, luckily, fellow tradesmen like to look out for fellow tradesmen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I had a buddy or anybody for that matter who had lost an important piece of equipment, I would help them to achieve the work they were trying to do. I mean, if I had it and I was able to lend it out, I would certainly do that as well.
Absolutely. And this industry is pretty tight-knit, as we previously discussed, even with the people that have been on this podcast so far.
Yeah, you know some of the guests that we had and
worked with them in the past and are planning on working with them in the future and whatnot. So, I mean, it's nice to have that bit of backup from the community and being able to actually rely on other people that necessarily you don't rub shoulders with on a day-to-day basis, but know of you and kind of feel the pain that we're going through. So
let's hope that nobody else has to go through anything like that in the future, but unfortunately we've got predators out there looking for equipment, looking for a quick buck. And I mean, a lot of construction sites obviously have large fences around the area, but I can drive by and just see equipment scattered throughout the place sometimes too. So it's important to be sure to wrap all that up at the end of the day.
Exactly. And materials, I think, are the new big commodity now. Now that things are costing so much money, it's pretty rampant out there where materials start disappearing from sites. Whole whips of plywood and studs, and I'm sure
copper pipes.
Yeah, there you go.
They always got cut when I was in insulation. The copper pipes were always cut.
Copper pipes. Yeah. I had actually recycled a bunch of tin siding once and got a pretty penny out of it. I didn't steal the siding. Let's make that clear. But copper, things like that, soft metals definitely can get you a few bucks.
Yeah. There you go.
And you're talking materials. We got a letter from some of our suppliers recently, just kind of preparing us for some of the increases in material costs. And for that reason, I feel like, we'd be a little bit more nervous about leaving any bundles on the ground. Be sure to bring the bundles up to the roof before the end of the day, just in case, because, I mean, it's probably less likely someone's going to try to haul up a, 65-pound bundle,
there you go.
Depending on how physically able they are. But any cost of materials are definitely a target.
For sure, especially when you see like a standard sheet of plywood start at typically go for $18-$20 a sheet. Now it's $80 to $85.
Yeah, wow.
And just walks off the site.
Yeah, it's wild. Yeah, I remember seeing that as well. Just shopping in Home Depot back towards the beginning of the pandemic, I suppose. Seeing a sheet of plywood go from $9.99 to $55.
Yep.
It's wild.
Overnight.
Certainly wild. Speaking of wild, horror stories.
Mm-hmm.
I have been told that you might have a couple good horror stories to share with us.
We've got a few.
Yeah, no, unfortunately. I've got a couple myself, but... Most
recent, I think a lot of it lends to the fact that everybody is... I wouldn't say everybody, but the good guys are starting to get burnt out, and then they become complacent themselves, and things are missed. Most recent one that we've had to deal with is new build laneway suite. So for those of you that don't know, it's a garage on the ground level and then a secondary suite or living quarters on the second level of it. So
I see.
Those are becoming much more popular throughout the city just due to population density increasing and the need for it. But throughout this build, another contractor was involved in it. We came in to do some consulting and do a little bit of work for the client, which was a previous client of ours over the past decade. When we were going through it, we noticed that there was no ventilation system installed throughout the house, and the laneway. It was finished, paint, drywall, baseboard, like whole 9 yards, done, ready to move in. There was a heating source, which was a hydronic baseboard heat, but there was nothing as far as air exchanges go. Somehow this slipped through the city of Calgary inspections. So we basically had to revive this from square one, go back to the permit process, figure out where the disconnect was, and then find a solution to remedy it. So installing an HRV or air exchange system of sorts to make sure that this dwelling was actually inhabitable. Because at that point, there really isn't really a lot of air exchange in it, and there's pretty significant health implications due to that.
Yeah, certainly. Usually, in terms of ventilation, I've found some places underventilated or places with no ventilation whatsoever, usually attic spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily, less of a health concern in that case, but when it comes to condensation and interior damage, certainly a big thing to look out for.
Yeah. And that was our second point to the clients was this is compromising your building's integrity. You're dealing with a lot of stale air. There's going to be moisture issues, and potential for mold growth on the inside of this suite is definitely elevated. But it was more or less a health concern, and that's where the City of Calgary inspection department was erring with us as well.
I see.
Yeah.
So what was done, if you can get specific about it, to rectify those issues?
We had to find a spot for heat recovery ventilator, and also the ducting associated with that to properly bring in fresh air and exhaust the stale or contaminated air, so to speak. Process hasn't been completed yet. We're still kind of in the initial design phase, trying to figure out where the best place is this, so it's the least amount intrusive.
Fairly recent then, this project, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but for the most part, we figured out the problem and found a solution for it. So it's just a matter of implementing it.
Right. Well, it sounds like they got the right guys on the job. I mean, considering, say, the city inspector missed something like that.
Yeah, it was. I don't necessarily know if they missed it. I think it was more on the contractor side where, like I said, it's a complacency thing. They got so comfortable with how they were doing things, and they just basically followed the flow.
Right.
Without really stepping back and taking a look and saying, hey, is this proper? Am I taking all the right steps here? That sort of thing. This step was missed, and unfortunately there was a loophole in the City of Calgary planning process, which kind of allowed this error to happen.
I see.
So I wouldn't say it's anybody's fault in general. It's everybody's fault.
I guess so. I mean, that's the nature of human error, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, loopholes and things can easily go unnoticed. And I mean, I can admit as well, considering I'm doing interior inspections and external, but you do 3 or 4 or 5 a day, and you get sometimes a few in a row that are identical. And over time, I mean, if you're having a rough day or you're tired, it's easy to miss something, right?
Totally.
There would be some jobs where we would make a sale and we would rectify some issues, and one of the crew members on site would message me, Brody, you missed this. And I'm happy to hear that. Obviously, it can help to combat complacency, obviously. But human error at its finest, essentially, I mean.
Yeah, and it's nice that you can have people kind of step in and do the check and balancing, because, I mean, we're all guilty for it.
Of course,
at one phase or another, there's always something that is missed or overlooked or whatnot, but it's being able to catch it before it gets too out of control. That's
of course. I mean, in home building systems, we'll say, and then just say attic ventilation and everything that goes along with it. There's so many different working parts, that work together that actually affect one another as well. And it's easy to overlook something in particular, and over time that one overlooked aspect can contribute to overall imbalance in those systems. So it's important to obviously keep 2 eyes open and as often as you can. And I mean, I have how would I put it? I have reference guides for myself that I've made myself to try to safeguard from missing specific things during inspections and things like that. I think it's a worthwhile commodity for myself to have.
absolutely having a process in place, and I've just recently learned this over the last couple of years. Process is definitely something that is fundamental to having a successful and profitable business as a whole, but also just to make sure that you're providing the services that you say you're going to provide in the timely fashion and to the quality that you want to achieve. Yeah, there's really no replacement for just keeping things on pace and paying attention and just taking the time to care.
For sure. That applies to many more people outside of construction and roofing industries, right? I mean, that can go to nurses, doctors, anybody, right? As you said yourself, procedure, and having definitive process. It's backbone or fundamental in almost any trade and any workplace, really.
Someone recently said, well, it wasn't that recent, it was within the last couple of years, said that 90% of people in whatever industry you're in just aren't good at their job. They try.
90%.
They try. 10%, bang on.
Yeah, I could believe that. I mean, I've seen some
that just excel. It doesn't matter if you're a doctor, if you're a carpenter, or a garbage guy, or whatever. Like, there's just, it seems that 90% of the people just don't care. They're just there to make a paycheck and move on.
I guess so. Yeah, makes sense. Some people are passionate about what they're doing, and others are there to make a pretty penny, like you said. Because I'll come across some roofs during inspection that I can actually turn some of these photos that I'd take of just poor workmanship into great social media posts. Yeah. Not obviously announcing the company or whatever else, although I'm able to find out through the client. Yeah. But you see some companies that are just up there and out of there as quick as they can, and cut so many corners and leave out materials in certain places and things like that. It's incredible. And then some other roofs I'll inspect it's difficult for me to find anything wrong whatsoever. It's usually just the age of the shingle itself that's worth noting. As for workmanship, sometimes 10 out of 10. So you have, as you said, some guys who are, that 10%, and others that are the 90. So
it seems that just, I wouldn't say as of late, but as far as my career goes over the last 15 years, it seems like it's getting worse and worse. People just are not, they don't care anymore. They won't take the extra 5 seconds to use that particular product or say lap your underlay properly or what have you. And then it spirals out of control. And that 5 seconds that they cut a corner on costs the client thousands of dollars down the road, or immediately for that matter, or it costs the company that this individual is working for. It costs them money. So I think in this industry, there's a lot more care that needs to kind of be instilled in employees, but it's one of those uphill battles. Yeah. Systematic, so to speak.
I understand. I'm thinking of, finding just poor workmanship that over time had caused damage to the home itself, and they didn't notice what the cause was until they had us inspect, and we inspect it, and I can outline the issue. And it always comes back to the installer, and oftentimes that company had already gone bankrupt or just fell off the earth somehow. A lot of these companies will just do a whole bunch of crap work and then kind
vanish.
They'll just dissolve and then pop up under another name elsewhere, and it's difficult to really put your finger on these kind of companies. But
for sure. And just thinking of recent events, we did a home inspection, and we're not a licensed home inspector, but I got a call from a realtor friend of ours to go and take a look at a house. They were last minute. If you know anything about the real estate industry right now, it's like if you don't buy it sight unseen, you're not getting the house. So these people are in a panic to get a home, couldn't find an inspector on time. Real estate agent gives me a call and says, hey, do you mind coming and taking a look at this just to give us your professional opinion on if there is anything that is potentially wrong with this home before this client puts a final offer on it. And walked through the home. It looked pretty tight. It was built in 2014. Very, very, very well maintained house. Went through the interior of it, thermocam the ceiling, didn't see any major issues or anything like that. and proceeded to go outside and noticed that we had all sorts of condensation issues on the exterior of the home. And that just tells us there is something going on with a vapor barrier inside that house. Probably whoever did whatever it was that was wrong didn't realize they were actually doing it. But we're talking like a $5,000 to $10,000 repair at minimum to rectify the situation on a home that these people are just about to pull the trigger on and buy. But it's one little thing. It's making sure that the vapor barrier is on the right side of a heating duct or something like that, which would cause something like that. So.
Right. So did that have a major impact on the sale when it came to the buyer, or did they move forward with it? Do you know?
Buyer decided to go to a different house.
Yeah.
After that. But I'm sure that house still sold within that day.
Yeah, maybe.
Due to the
As you
current
said,
market,
there's panic. And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in no place to buy, so I don't really have my finger on that pulse. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping within a couple years that that curve will start to flatten out a little bit. It'll be a little easier to enter that market. But
Yeah, well, exactly. Right now it's a little ridiculous.
yeah, well, I'm comfortable in the podcast room.
Yeah.
Just set up a bed down here in the meantime. I'm down here pretty often anyways.
Our young apprentice, 18, just started with us last year, and offered him to set up a cot at the shop.
Oh, yeah.
Hang his hat there, since chances of him buying a property anytime soon are slim to none.
Well, cot technology, we could say, is
There you
getting
go.
pretty extreme and pretty comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
You can get a really, really small trailer for pretty cheap, electricity, running water. Could live on site.
Yeah, I think that's what's kind of driving that small house market.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Does that sense?
So we had asked you to bring along some photos with you
Mm-hmm.
to, show us a little bit of what you do and provide some insight. So did that open up, or am I going to have to?
Yeah, no.
Oh, we're
it's
good. Cool,
She's
right
still
on.
open, yeah. So
Right on, okay. What do we
we,
got?
as a company, tend to go towards more of the fine-tuning. Oh, here we go. This is the one. More of like the custom type projects. And if somebody comes to us and says, "Hey, like I really, really like this, but I can't find it anywhere," we were like up for the challenge of, "Hey, well, actually, we can build that." I
Hey,
think.
cool. What is it that I'm looking at exactly?
This is a custom barn door
Oh, okay.
that a client found online, Pinterest specifically, and said, "Hey, I'd really like this. Can you fabricate it for us?" So this is initial design concept, laid it all out, kind of based off the picture, a little bit of a spin on it ourselves, and then we kind of got into just playing around with what would work. So this is kind of mid-phase through. We fabricated all of the half-inch MDF styles, routed them, kind of figured out what would be the best way to apply this. And then this is the door completed after all the moldings were applied. So that particular door, we put a back bevel on each and every piece, routed them all together, and it's all applied glue and pin nails. And then the final installed is this one.
Okay, right
So-
on. Yeah.
We fabricated it, we primed it, we sprayed it many times. A little bit of a learning curve with this one. It was a bit of a bane of our existence for a good couple weeks trying to figure out what the best process was. So
Well, it really shows just how much confidence you have in the company itself for you to take on a project like this, something that you haven't really gone after before, but the desire to deliver the product that the customer wanted. That's admirable for sure.
And this is the kind of stuff that we enjoy doing. It's different, it doesn't linger too long. It's something that we can focus on and just get kind of like a little bit of a hop and step over it, so to speak.
Right. Okay.
It's interesting. It's new. Like we can take it and run.
Is that a fancy bathroom door, maybe?
It is. It actually leads it
Bathroom.
on. Yeah, there you go. It's
That was a lucky guess.
it's actually the master closet, and then on the other side of the closet is the washroom. Is in a condo.
Oh, I see.
Condo building down in Marda Loop. So we got contracted to redo the whole thing, and this was just a small portion of it. But being a one-bedroom place, they kind of wanted to make it as special as they could.
Of course. I like the design. I just like the hanging door like
Mhm.
that. More modern for sure. Technical. I think it looks really nice.
Yeah.
And you guys did a great job.
Turned out
I
really
like
well.
the metallic finish. I guess I could say metallic. I'm not sure, but
Yeah. And then got another recent project that we completed around this time last year. This is where it started. Clients down in Auburn Bay wanted to add some cabinetry around there, kind of spruce it up a little bit, liven it up. This house was built, I believe, mid 2010, 2015, somewhere in that range. Got a mid-stage photo here. We got all our cabinets and everything all set up, and then this was final product after everything was said and done.
oh, that's great. Yeah, no, that definitely revives the entire room.
Yeah, definitely adds a little bit more of a high-end element to it. We
Yeah,
had a
for
lot
sure.
of client input on it. The homeowner pretty much designed the whole thing. We implemented it and kind of gave her a little bit of a spin on what is realistic as far as building materials goes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that
No,
one.
I think it looks great. Yeah, TV mount right above the fireplace. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, no, that's great. I mean, a lot of people struggle with storage space, right? And to have something like that is certainly worthwhile.
Totally.
I don't think, if I had something like this, it wouldn't look as nice. I'll tell you that. There'd be a hodgepodge of different things up there, but
Yeah.
it's beautiful. And I commend you for this accomplishment. It looks great.
Thank you. And then this one was just something special because we haven't really done anything like this in the past. Client contacted us to redo their master bathroom in a penthouse suite down on Parkdale Boulevard.
Okay.
And they were leaving town for, I think it was 2.5 weeks. So we had 2.5 weeks to completely redo this bathroom. But the real special thing about this is this tile is actually all works from Banksy. And it has been non-existent for the last 4 years. And the client actually imported it from Australia. We only had about, I think it was about 6 pieces left over, which were all duplicates. Our tile setter meticulously laid this out just to make sure there was as little duplicate pieces as possible. But
Right. Yeah, I'm struggling to see duplicates anyways.
Yeah.
That's because it's all like a graffiti
mm-hmm.
based design, and it's also just kind of ecstatic in between each design. So yeah, it'd be difficult to find any similarities there.
It was a little nerve-wracking doing this one just because we weren't sure. We didn't order the tile. We didn't know how much was coming. It was on a boat for quite a few months before it landed here. So we weren't
Right.
sure the condition of the product when it arrived. So we were crossing our fingers that we had enough to make it work, and luckily we did. Turned out pretty good.
Yeah, it sure did. At first, I wasn't sure what I was looking at. I wasn't sure if it was tile or if
Feature wall of.
I thought maybe
yeah.
you got into painting too. Like
No.
you painted that, But
Oh, I wish
That'd
I had
be,
time for something of that artistic nature, but unfortunately, I
well,
don't.
no. Well, with what you're doing, there is an artistic edge to
Yeah.
it. Especially when you're coming down to designing certain installations, I
Mhm.
suppose, and having to hit the drawing board, bring the customer's idea to life. It's a form of art.
Yep.
I think for sure.
Yep, for sure. And then last that we got here, so we fully believe that as soon as we enter somebody's home, we got to treat it as such. We got to treat it
Right.
as their home. It is their safe space. It's something that they cherish. So we go above what we think is necessary to protect all of their belongings and whatnot. There's just a couple shots of this was early on in the pandemic, so we did office conversion. This is just the path from the front door to the office conversion, just making sure that we're not causing any unnecessary damage or
Right,
dust
so you-
collection in the house. So
Put all like the plastic down on the stairs
Yeah.
and whatnot. I thought for a second you might have been installing carpet on top of that, but just protecting the pre-existing.
yeah, it's just a light
Material.
adhesive film just to make sure that we can walk in and out of the house with soil
Right.
boots,
No,
that
yeah,
sort
that's-
of thing.
that's
And then
a-
at least that way, then when we peel all that stuff up, it's like we weren't even there.
It's the kind of thing that would separate Elite Construction from other companies.
There's a few companies out there that go above and beyond like this, but
Right. Right.
we've decided to implement it as just part of our just standard procedure.
As it
and
should be, for
like I
sure.
said
Word
before-
will spread. I mean, the client now would obviously recommend you to their friends and whatnot,
There you go.
as if you were never there. I wish I had that stuff for my place. Most of this place is carpet, and there are 3 black cats in this house,
Okay.
as well as a dog.
Yeah.
And the cats shredded the carpet in a few areas, which is, no fun. And the dog sheds too. So I don't know if we could, some people plastic wrap furniture.
Yeah.
I'd like to plastic wrap the house. I love these.
And even with this too, it helps to kind of negate complacency. So like, I mean, you're in and out of the house, you're trying to, load up a paint tray or something like that, and oops, kicked it over. At least that's there to prevent that.
Of course, that's. I mean, you said yourself, other companies do go above and beyond, but to see that now, that Elite takes care like that is certainly important. It's important, and it's. I mean, for anyone watching, be sure to contact Elite Construction because they take care of you, as you've just seen. So
We have a question in the comments here.
oh, question right on.
So question was, has he noticed much of a design change between now and when he started?
Astronomically, to
Yeah.
be honest. Yeah. When we first started, there was a lot of just for instance, like the kind of espresso colored flooring. You got the more rich, darker colors, earth tones, that sort of thing. Just pretty rich altogether. And now it's kind of transitioned into like a lighter, airier kind of pastel type style. I mean, the lighter colored flooring is coming back. Naturally finished maples and white oak and that sort of thing is pretty common. As well as, lighter colored walls, that sort of thing.
I want pastel walls myself. So
Yeah, I'm sure they're beautiful.
I'd love some.
I mean, when it comes to interior design, I can't say that I'm too picky, but until I say own a house of my own, I'd be certainly more inclined to make some changes. But with renting and everything else, I guess can't be too picky.
Yeah.
At this point, anyways. But
Totally. Yeah.
I suppose we get a place, we'll have to look for the pastel colors, right?
Do it ourselves.
Do it ourselves.
Or he can do it.
Yeah. Well, we'll take a 2-week vacation. Yeah. So you take 2 weeks to let them
Get Elite in there.
do the overhaul. Yeah. Why not? Well, we've definitely met quite a few people that could cater to those things. I mean, I'm in this case construction, but with some of the guests that we have, we need a design. 7-day, come in and do the design for you, hand it to you. You guys take care of it. Yeah, no, it's certainly a tit for tat kind of running the podcast. Meet a lot of fantastic people and tradesmen that can get things done.
Yeah.
Certainly
Networking at its finest.
Indeed, yeah. So enough about construction. I'm sure all of us listening and watching are curious about you, I guess, on the other side of the business. So personal interests, hobbies, like sports. What are you into?
Sports wise, not a whole lot. Never really been into the whole sports thing, but big into motorcycles of all aspects.
Yeah, right on.
Basically started in dirt riding, doing like hare scramble races, that sort of thing. Got out of that a little bit on my younger years and transitioned to street and did some street riding, that sort of stuff. And then subsequently sold both of my motorcycles to fund business ventures. So we needed some equipment on the business side of things. And we're like, okay, well, I mean, it's either the motorcycle stays or we get that dump trailer that we so desperately need. And actually just recently got back into dirt riding again. So
yeah, right on.
That is number one passion of mine.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I actually love dirt biking as well. I have yet to purchase my own, but luckily all my childhood friends I camp with every year, they all have bikes, and I got my taste, and I have the opportunity to ride almost every year. So
Right on.
became comfortable on a YZ 250 eventually, which was cool. But I intend to buy a bike someday. Don't tell Carly, but I might buy a dirt bike one day.
We have a podcast winner.
A podcast winner.
I
Big
didn't wanna
announcement.
interrupt.
No, it's okay. That's okay.
Congratulations to Melinda Poth.
Yeah, right on. Right on. Well, hey, that's what we were hoping for.
There you go. Also, if you buy a bike, I obviously get to use it, so I would not stop you.
We'll put you on a CR 125 maybe.
I think that's a good
Ridden
start.
That's a good
bikes.
start. That's
I
kind of
rode
where I
bikes
started. I
for
think it was a
like
150,
8
but
years. I'm not a starter, FYI. I was dirt biking for like 8 years.
you're right. I forgot.
Oh,
I
she's
apologize, honey. We don't
We're in
talk
a
about
problem
dirt biking.
after
Got
this.
lots of experience. I'm sorry if I've started something.
No, it's okay. I'm making it about me. I shouldn't be
Drama
doing
on
that.
this podcast.
I just,
People will watch
I
that
also,
drama.
Right on.
I also enjoy dirt biking. I'm happy that that's something you did. I didn't mean to insinuate that you're playing sports. I was just throwing that
Oh,
out there.
no,
But hey,
no,
dirt
no.
biking is a sport of its own. And
Figured I'd answer the question nonetheless. But
yeah, no, street bike. I've never been on a street bike, so I commend you for that as well. That's a totally different game.
terrifying,
Yeah, probably.
terrifying, but exciting at the same time.
Yeah, probably. I hope to sit on one someday.
Yeah.
I've ridden on the back of a couple Harleys before, but
Yeah.
nothing in the palm of my hands yet.
Yeah.
So.
No, depending on what you get, it's all on the wrist.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I
you
can imagine.
ultimately have control over it. It's just a matter of how fast you twist that throttle. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
can
for sure.
be fun and easy going, or it can get you in trouble real quick.
Yeah. So what was your favorite bike if you had to pick one?
That's hard to say. There's lots out there that I would definitely pine over. Out of the ones that I've owned, it was a GSXR 1000. So like leader bike, so to speak.
I'm
like
assuming
track
that's a
bike.
street bike.
Yeah. Street
Yeah.
bike.
I'm fluent in dirt bike, not street bike, but
Yeah, that was by far the most exhilarating bike I've ever ridden.
1000 cc.
Yeah, 1000.
Right. Yeah, that's
cc's,
that's a hell of a bike
It's
for sure.
pretty speedy, and like I said, though, it can get you into trouble real quick. So
Yeah, I could imagine with
Thus-
that rubber or with the concrete under the rubber, man.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
I've been on pretty sure it was a CR 450.
Yeah.
Which I could barely kickstart. Right, it took
Mhm.
like 100 pumps, but no, to translate that into concrete and then bring it up by another 600 cc's.
there you go. Yeah, you can do 0 to 100 and real fast.
I can imagine.
As long as you're maintaining that traction, right?
Yeah, well, right on. I'm
Yeah.
happy you brought that up because I haven't really talked bikes in quite a while, and I'm happy that that's one of your hobbies. It's a great sport.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic, and honestly gives me something to really look forward to for taking time off. It forces me to, take the time on the weekend, summer vacation, that sort of thing. So
Right. That leads me to, I wonder if you'd purchased another bike since you sold the two.
yeah, we actually I picked up 2012 WR 450 beginning of last season. So I've been riding that for the last year, and
Did you ride a bike here today?
no.
No?
Pickup trucks for life.
Oh yeah, no, pickup trucks are nice for sure. So you don't ride them. You don't ride them like
No,
not recreationally, but you
not
have,
in
like, your
not
bike
in the
license,
city.
or no? Oh, okay, I see.
No.
All right. Well, that would be. I think a buddy of mine actually would like to have a bike license someday. But
Yeah, it's not that bad. Highly recommend doing a course though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Do a safety course. We went through Too Cool motorcycle school. My brother and I did it at the same time, and yeah, honestly, it saved my life twice
I can
going through that
imagine.
program. So definitely worthwhile. People that just jump on a bike and go and do their road test and whatnot and make it out the other side somewhat unscathed. There's a lot of things that you can pick up from those courses that will aid you in the long run.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, my experience, I guess, is in dodging trees, which I didn't always dodge. I have
Yeah.
had a few spills in my time, but yeah, I mean, that compared to dodging traffic
Mm-hmm.
certainly would require an extensive lesson for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
The course would be worthwhile, no doubt about that.
Totally. Yeah.
So you like bikes, man? You like bikes? Right on.
snowboarding.
Yeah, snowboarding's good.
Um,
Yeah.
What else? Other than that, man, it's working on vehicles, diesel truck life.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, right on.
Yeah, and then just building stuff on the side. I mean, it's even though we do it at work, I do still really enjoy coming home or doing a shop day and actually turning out some cool product
Yeah,
for
of course.
personal use or what have you. So
I mean, that's a nice transferable trade, though, because, I
Yeah.
mean, I couldn't imagine going roofing all day.
yeah,
Come home and want to do my own roof, right? That's
there,
a bit of a-
yeah, I can
different
see
kind of
how
thing.
that would be a little bit of a deterrent there.
Yeah. Well, no, that's it's cool to hear that you're an outdoorsman. We'll say that.
Yeah.
I mean, and being involved in a trade that you're so passionate about, you like to flex those capabilities at home as well is admirable for sure.
Yeah, my wife employs me quite a bit, so.
Yeah, make the new wine rack or new coffee table, things like that maybe. Or what have you built for yourself around the house?
Actually, we did a 400 square foot addition to our home back in 2014.
See, I'm talking coffee tables. Oh, I put a 400 foot addition on the home. It's like, okay.
I did recently build her a coffee table.
Hey,
and now
right.
she's, I have a hard time showing her some of these projects, kind of like that barn door. So she's like, "Oh, you can do that on our house. Like, that's the biggest mistake you've made this year. You showed me that picture, now I want it."
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah, but honestly, it's nice to be able to actually crush some projects at home and be able to look at them every day and appreciate them, because I mean we put so much of our soul into what we do on other people's job sites, and then as soon as it's done, it's essentially gone and we can't appreciate it anymore. So
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, when it comes to appreciating work I've done, if I'm lucky enough, I'm driving past the house someday. I'm like, look at that roof, no blown off shingles.
And
There
you
we
point
go.
it out every time we pass it.
And I point it out every time
did
I
that
pass
roof.
it. Like, hey, look at that roof up there. That's a nice looking roof, I guess.
I think that's probably every tradesperson out there.
That's right. No, you're right about
It's
that.
just
I mean,
like,
it's impossible to not remember when driving by or even being in the area for that reason. But
Yeah, just driving through old neighborhoods that we worked on and whatnot. And it's like, I worked on that house and I worked on that house and I built that fence and I built that deck.
no shame.
You know?
Yeah, no shame.
Yeah, and the kids are like, yeah, Dad, we know. You told us like 4 times already.
Yeah. I think Carly actually says the same kind of thing to me. But
I act surprised sometimes.
thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
I mean, if I forget that I've shown you, let's hope it's not early onset Alzheimer's. But hey, I did hit my head pretty hard that one day, right? So,
Yeah.
anyways, well, Winston, it's been a pleasure having you on with us.
And thanks for having me.
The photos that you brought with you, certainly insightful. I didn't realize that you were able to cater to such a wide variety of construction needs, which is great. And I'm sure our viewers are happy to see that as well.
Yeah.
If you guys have any expansion in mind or additions, which I found out that is something you cater to as well, that's great.
Or barn doors.
Call Elite. Yeah, call Elite. You need a barn door, call Elite.
Pretty much anything
Yeah.
residential, and we do some minor light commercial stuff too, but that's not necessarily our expertise.
Right. Well, from what I've seen, I'm impressed. From what I've heard, I'm impressed. Certainly worthwhile addition to the trades community in Calgary. Right on. So thank you, Elite, for coming in.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, right on. And as for our viewers, thanks for watching. Really happy that we were able to actually guess the mystery word during the episode this time around, which was great. So congratulations to you. I forget our winner's name.
Melinda, and it was actually the first guest today. You guys did a good job saying that word a lot.
Melinda. Terrific. Well, thanks for guessing, Melinda. You won yourself a no pain picnic backpack and a nice picnic blanket to go along with it. So, yeah, and you're going to have an opportunity to win $500 cash as well. So stay tuned for that, because we're going to do an episode just for you, just for your opportunity to win $500. So, again, thanks everybody for watching. If you are watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to the No Pain YouTube channel. We are airing this on Facebook as well as Twitter, but as for subscriptions, I mean, like our pages, we would appreciate that quite a bit. Again, subscribe to YouTube. YouTube is great. Another thank you to Winston for being here. It was a pleasure. For any of you watching, if you haven't ridden a dirt bike, highly recommend to go out there, do some dirt biking. And if you have any construction needs, be sure to call upon Elite Roofing. Did I say Elite Roofing? Elite Construction. I'm already losing my mind. I'm too young for that. Anyways, take care, everybody. Thank you. And we will see you next Thursday, 3 p.m.